If Mudavadi seems to be doing roles you would think are for Kindiki, and Kindiki is doing foreign affairs roles that you think are majorly for Mudavadi as the foreign secretary, that I don't think there's anything to read into that. I think it's just normal. However, you can also say they are preparing Kindiki for bigger things. If you are going to succeed Ruto in the next 5 years or so, you had better begin getting international exposure. Mudavadi is already internationally exposed.
You see, when you are at that level and your roles in being diminished, you lose respect from both the sides, from the people who would like to oppose you and from those who also support you. So it's humiliating, and it should not happen, but it is happening. Ruto will not drop Kindiki. I don't know he's ending him, but I can assure you, he will not drop Kindiki because Kindiki is more useful with him as a deputy right now than being dropped. Using Kindiki as a deputy, he can promise Mudavadi and the other lawyers that you support me. Once we cross over, I'm getting rid of Kindiki. Si hata wile mwingine nilitoa. He can move there and promise ODM, Puru Ginga and the company, that look, bwana, wacha tupite hiyo zanguzi. Ikimalizika, mimi namuondoa, nyinyi mnaingia. He can also go to the ghost and tell Nanjo Hassan enjoy the same story. Now, if he drops Kindiki and picks one of them, that story is dead. They will have a choice to support the other side, because now they know there is nothing for them here.
Let's define what politics is. This is the process where we have elites who want to take power. It is through bargaining, it is through election. And if you can read the mood of the nation, it's like we are looking forward to that moment. And then what is the governance itself? These are the system, the set of rules, the mechanism that are supposed to give us the service delivery of the people. But if you look at the current situation of this state, we are not even focusing on the governance aspect. We are really focusing on the political aspect, asking when is the next general election? How are we going to take out these MPs who even voted for the finance bill? You know, we are in the issue of 1 term, 2 term, 3 term. That's where we are as a nation so far.
The difference is when we spend too much of public resources, not in delivery of services, but in creating perceptions that are political for our own good as politicians, that's when it gets out of hand. But as long as there is delivery of services, remember, firstly, that government is composed of very many departments and very many people delivering the service. Like if you tell a member of parliament not to politic, and he is on duty on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, what else do you expect him to be doing over the weekend? If you tell the president not to politic, and he doesn't have even to report to the office daily because he has an entire cabinet and their departments and the technical staff and everybody else to deliver, what else do you expect him to be doing? The danger comes in, if in politics, we are spending more money where it shouldn't go.
What do you think we're doing?
We are doing both, I would say so. We are doing both. We are politicking because, like Dr. said, every politician who doesn't take advantage of being in an office to campaign again is a stupid one. Because why do you have political power if that political power won't help you to get a political seat or retain it? Dr. said, which I agree with him, part of politics is survival. You cannot deliver if you are not in that office. So there is acquisition of the office, and then there is that delivery part of it, and the political part of it that makes you retain that office for you to be able to deliver. So it's a matter of balancing the act.
Politics is about who gets when and how. For you to get that, you get to government so that you're able to get the resources. Now, that's why I say the most dangerous thing is to do the things you used to do before you got the position. When you get to government, it's governance. And by the way, politics and government is one unit. Yes. Even as the University of Nairobi. Because it's politics, two sides of the same coin. It's politics and government. They are related. Okay. So, but you get to government, for example, let's take an example of education, just to education and health, for example. If you say there's a collapse, of course, for example, of SHA, you are saying once you elect us, we have an alternative policy on health that will cater for ABCD, education, public debt, and all that kind of things. So once you get to government, therefore, you must keep in touch to make sure the promises you give to the people, they are fulfilled as soon as possible. Now, to answer your question, once we had the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, all right? So we get to government, very quickly, you tie it down to the ministries, right? Every ministry handle this. Then now the budget comes, because that's what you didn't have when you were campaigning. You didn't have the budget. Now you go, and that's why every government that comes, you do a supplementary to say, excuse me guys, the budget that we found was for the other regime. So you come and put money. And therefore, from there, you begin implementing what is supposed to be implemented. Now, let me tell you, because I'm an expert on delivery. You normally have a very small window once you take power to make sure people are with you. If you go towards the second year, 2.5 years, midterm, without something tangible, people begin to give up. Unfortunately, for this regime, 1 year into 8, they had done a big blunder on taxation. That's why you saw Sufuria movement the first year, actually less than 1 year before elections. There was the Sufuria movement after the finance bill of 2023. That was a big blunder. Of course, we had said, don't go this way. Those are the blunders that have cost.
You had advised not to.
In a big way. Let me tell you, we said, don't touch taxation. Look at Kibaki. He just said, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. The revenue lost from 200 billion of Moi to 800 billion. Please don't. But you see, one thing I've come to discover about leadership is about the personality. The personality of Nelson Mandela, Adolf Hitler. The person who comes in, if this is what they think, and they cannot be advised, that's another problem. And in future, I want to suggest very seriously, we need some aptitude tests for anybody ascending to any office, by the way. Just so that your personality does not crash so badly with the constitution, you know, with the Bible, with everything else, ethics, morals, you know. So what should happen or should have happened, Dennis? We get in. We went and said, forget about all these things. People are impatient. Can we do 1, 2, 3, 4? We went down and brought down to 217 projects and programs for every ministry that was supposed to be done immediately. Now, the moment Goodwill is not there, the moment you see, wow, we thought we were coming to do work, so that by the third year, remember my mark, as an expert on delivery, the first 2 years, the third year, you begin commissioning complete projects, the ones that wananchi want.
Yep.
Fifth year, you are going back to the market now to campaign.
Let's start with where the whole thing started. 2024, the Gen Z protest. They were protesting against the high taxation. So what happens? The executive decides, let me build a coalition and form broad-based and maybe reshuffle some few cabinets here and there. But did we look at the root cause of the protests? No, the laws were still passed. The taxes are still high. So these coalitions that are being built by the political actors are making it so hard for even government itself to deliver. And also don't forget that the public is very, very angry. So even whatever the government brings in, even if it's positive, it is not even taking it. That is where we are as a country. So for this government, it's going to have a hard time. As Dr. said, within the first year, it already had its hurdles. And now we are looking to the election year. We are looking at, we already have a scorecard of the members of parliament who passed the finance bill. We have a way of removing them. So this government is going to have it difficult as we are heading towards the election.
Where wananchi sit today, what do you think they're saying about the promise of healthcare, promise to education, promise to infrastructure? Where do wananchi sit, especially when it comes to delivery of those?
Well, it's important to note that service delivery and especially development of a country cannot be separated by the debt status of that nation. Because debt refinancing is very expensive, especially if you look at our numbers as a country. You will understand that this current regime inherited a debt of close to 10 trillion. It was a heading there. Uhuru himself borrowed around 7 or thereabout trillion in 10 years. What that left us with is a situation where the government that took over after him started debt financing of excess of 1.5 per year. Surprisingly, this year, or this budget year, the government will be spending 2.3 trillion to finance the debt. our projected income, I'm even shocked when Dr. said that part of his advisory to the government is that they shouldn't have increased taxes. It is either he's lying or it is hypocritical in this sense. When you find a government with debt financing of, say, 2.3 in this year, projected tax income, let's even call it government revenue because it is tax, levies, grants, all of it, we expect to have 3.6 trillion. Can you imagine, out of that, the government will be left with 1.3 to run a budget of 4.8 T. Where will the government gather money from? Now, the government sources are simple. Taxes, levies, and grants. Kenya, unfortunately for us, we are not a manufacturing country as such. We are a logistics nation. We would have been an agricultural nation, but we refused to grow agriculture because we had these treaties where we agreed to be committing 15% of our revenues into agriculture. Yes. No government has done that, even in terms of Kibaki, Uhuru, and now President Ruto. And the excuse we'll give is that much of agriculture is devolved. We don't have minerals in the countries that would sustain our income. So the only place we can go to is taxation. Now again, then you look at our numbers and you realize that 83% of our employment is informal. Those are sectors that can't give you much. Our formal sector employs around 3 million. So you have to keep going back to these 3 million people and the registered business owners for you to get this income, for you to. So the government will always find itself borrowing heavily for it to meet its recurrent expenditure. And now you understand why people will never be as satisfied as they were in Kibaki's time and Uhuru's time, because we are not living in those times.
Yeah, we'll talk about debt. The president said, because we are in debt, you need to stop digging. Stop taking more debt.
Yes.
But the president is borrowing heavily compared to others. So
Yes.
I want to ask the question,
Yes.
did the president lie?
I wouldn't say he lied. I would say he did not have much of the inside information.
But he was the deputy president.
An alienated deputy president. In fact, we all agree that in our second term of President Kibaki, President Ruto was a deputy president by name. Dr. Fred Matiang'i was the de facto deputy president. We all know that. I listened to Daktari and his team talk about how they are going to cut down taxes. And I'm saying these people are where Ruto was. Because look at it this way. If we are paying 2.3 this year, we expect that financing to go higher next year. Let's even say they have taken the government in 2027. And now they find that debt financing has hit 3 trillion. And look at the way our taxes have been growing. At that time, our projected income will be 4 trillion. So Dr. Mbaya and his team will get into the office and find that they have to pay 3 trillion, because if failure will make you blacklisted and you don't get more debts, and you have excess of 1 trillion in terms of what you are collecting, and you have a budget of over 4 trillion to run. Now, those who are not in government will tell you, we will run our economy organically. We are not going to borrow heavily to grow. But then, our recurrent expenditure is 3.2 trillion.
Yeah.
And you have 1.
Yeah.
So where are you going to get money?
Dr. wants to respond.
No, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes,
so,
but I want to hear
anybody
his...
promising Kenyans that we are going to remove housing levy, we are going to do away with the SHA, which is doing very well, by the way, we are going to remove all this, is either very naive or an outright liar.
Daktari.
Thank God. It must have been very painful. We went through a lot of work doing heavy lifting for this government, but thank God we have the knowledge. You know, I'm not only schooled in politics and government, but I practiced. So I know, I can tell you this today, Dennis. And before I say that, you ask him a question. Did the president lie? All the problems, you remember the book, The Problem with Nigeria? The problem with Kenya today is a problem of the double personality with the president. He says one thing, and he does the other. He will promise, we are picking like about 20, 30 promises. But the moment he got to office, he did exactly the reverse. He will shine at the cameras and smile, but the moment he goes back to State House, what he does is completely different from what he was doing when the cameras were rolling. That is the problem we have. Whereas some of us believed in the bottom up genuinely, and we committed our time, 16 hours per day working. There are some people who are thinking, we got the power we wanted. So number one, let us consolidate power. Let us get as much wealth as we can. Let us capture parliament, try to capture the judiciary, kill the constitution, be an imperial presidency. That is good to give you an analysis of a summary of what went wrong with this government. Some of us who are very genuine and very innocent, knowing they are going to work. Now, having said that, so he didn't lie. The problem is his double personality. We don't know when he is saying what. The same style. Now, we used to be in Karen. Groups used to come, these border people, people are given those empowerment things, for hair.
That's during campaign.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the problem is, it is good to do that when you are campaigning. Because you are saying, even I don't have salary, my allowances are not there, but you see what I'm doing, just a bit. When I get to power, we should see empowerment. The kind of drama and PR we are seeing at State House. I can imagine, I was thinking about the President Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, the other people we have had, whether they can condone such a thing. This is called making people poor. Kill the economy, let everybody be on their knees. By the time you call them to State House, they think they are almost near heaven. This is not governance, Dennis. It is not.
What is
there is something we call empowerment. Kindly, when you're in power, you have all the money, 4 trillion plus per year. Just go and make sure the people are empowered, not running to State House to feel good because of 3,000 Kenya shillings. You are supposed to put programs that somebody can go, and I told you that the other time. Go put that money at the sub-county level, right? With an interest of 3%. So that we see the genuine entrepreneurs borrowing money, with all these issues about Nyota and all that. Don't give people free money, because that's not governance do. Governance impact lives. Now, let me go to the issue of taxation. Let me say this. Right now, the projections today is about 2.9, 2.8 trillion revenues, right? They hardly make 2.4. I can tell you this year, I think it's 2.7. They will hardly make 2.2. Now, let me tell you something today. In the spirit of Kibaki to 2002, 2003, it is possible, because we have done that research, to get 5 trillion from Kenyans per year. Thank you. One, stop being lazy. What we have is a lazy taxation regime. That you want the people who are within your reach, people who have a pay slip. You continue muzzling them. Housing levy, which will be scrapped the first day. The issue of SHA, which cannot be explained. You go and increase SSF. The kind of butchery that is happening in the parliament is shocking. You go make some rules there that affect me. Let me tell you, and then can I ask you something? Before you interact with my pay slip, I should sign that I'm willing to subscribe my 700 shillings to you. So what is happening here is pure robbery. So this is how we are going to do it. One, make sure you expand the tax base. Don't be lazy. Go to that mama. Let her know her 100 shillings will make an impact. Right. But number two, Dennis, after you do that, Kenyans have no problem paying taxes. They have a problem with theft. Right. When you hear, let me finish with this, Dennis. When you see a supplementary budget of the Republic of Kenya, its work is simply to remove money from development. 6.5 billion to be taken to the offices where you don't need to account for the money, confidential votes. That is the money that's being shared in State House today. Yeah. By the way. So you cannot pay taxes. And that's the problem we have.
I'm listening to Dr. Mbaye and Mr. Kimani here, and I just realized that they both campaigned for this government. And
we don't deny.
They are also they're part and parcel of why we are going all through this right now. And now, I'll touch a bit on empowerment. Whatever the president is doing, I feel like this should be a role given to either the MPs or the MCs. And I can give a very good example with the current women rep of Nairobi, who happens to be Esther Passaris. She has an empowerment program that goes on her budget. And she actually renders the same services that the president is rendering right now, with things like mikokoteni, ATM mills, just to empower people. So, Daktari, what I'm trying to tell you is maybe that is not what the executive should be doing according to the rank that he is at. It should be trickled down to the MCAs and the women rep. But let's give His Excellency his flowers. He's literally trying, because he's just continuing with the same thing that he was doing during the campaign. Now, you've asked me why the public feel disgruntled. I'll tell you this. This regime campaigned on a promise. We were looking at a promised land. We were looking where the taxes will be cut down, the cost of living will go down, the healthcare will be looked into, the education sector. But whatever was promised and whatever is being delivered are two totally different things. And that's why the public is feeling like this is not what we wanted. Yes, the public may say, we want this, but Dr. and Mr. Kimani, they know once you sit on those offices and you are given the guidelines on how to do things, it is very different from what the Wananchi understand.
If you ask the opposition, they will tell you there is nothing going on in terms of development in this country. But then reality is very different, because it is only somebody who does not have eyes that can see the things that are happening in this economy vis-a-vis our economic status. And I told you we can never walk away from that. Yep. Honestly speaking, you cannot divorce the operations of a country, whether it should develop or not, from the debt status of that nation. Because debt is the first charge from the budget. The first money you get, you pay debt first. Because if you don't, the repercussions, no president want to find themselves in such situation where they have been declared unable to pay their debts. You are communicating that you are insolvent as a nation. If you want to see us going to the shop with wheelbarrows carrying money to go do shoppings because of the inflation, like it happened in Zimbabwe once, just find yourself in such a situation. Now, I want you to, because I like being honest, yep. Right? And I want us to paint the actual picture of this nation. That even with all the projected income, and Dr. Mbai is right, that we rarely hit those targets we are talking about. That notwithstanding, we still have to pay over 2.3 in debt financing. I wouldn't, now, you know, sometimes I look at President Ruto and I understand why he looks emaciated, and it's the kind of pressure that man is bearing. You're running an economy with projected income that you rarely hit the target. And by the way, he talks about creativity in terms of getting money. They are the same people who will tell the youth to come out and choke this government on ETIMS. So KRA comes up with a very creative idea. Let us have ETIMS, right? So that every time you bill Kimani for the services, Kimani bills you for the services you offered you, KRA knows that Kimani made money so that he can be asked to pay a little bit of it. They rush and to court all over and tell the KRA, you can do that. We are a very small economy. You can't tell farmers to pay every time they sell a cow. You can't tell Mama Mboga to pay every time. You remember what was in Finance Bill 2024 that made the youth to come out? Part of it was because even the smallest farmers were to pay turnover tax on whatever money they made. It isn't that KRA is not creative. We have a very litigant population in this country. Nothing the government does without somebody finding a reason to go to court and stop it.
Are you surprised why we have a litigant society? Because the same constitution speaks of public
No. By the way,
same constitution
it is
speaks
not,
of public participation.
And it is not a bad thing.
But when public participation does not take place as enshrined in the constitution, then rightfully so, any citizen goes to court.
Forget it. I'm not saying it is a bad thing. Yeah. It's a very good thing, because it speaks to an economy that is growing, not only economically, but also democratically, which is very important.
Yes.
But what I'm meaning is that even as much as KRA tries, which it does, it has limits beyond which it can't go because of our litigant nature as a nation.
Yeah.
Now, talk of development in this economy, our debt status notwithstanding. Look at the roads that are being done today. Look at the affordable housing. And I hear people demonizing affordable housing. And I ask, are they aware that by 2035, which is about 8 years from now, the population of Kenya would have overtaken the population in urban center, would have grown beyond the population in the rural areas, meaning these houses, people are saying that they are being built all over, they will find tenants. And by 2055, World Bank tells us that 20 years from now, we shall have 70% of our population in urban centers. Yep. Again, when you think about affordable housing, even if I may speak about it alone, imagine affordable housing, it's collecting about 70 billion every year. That money goes back to the economy in terms of constructions to spur growth. We have people buying those houses at cheaper prices. And then we hear people saying that once we take the government, the first thing we are doing is to stop it.
I must admit there has been a problem with this issue of debt. But two things quickly. Once you get power, once you take over government, stop reminding us about the past. When you are taking power, you knew the kind of problems on education, on health, public debt, infrastructure that were in the country. So stop of 4 years later, keep on every time, oh, you know, we inherited. So what did you want to do? When then were you looking for power? That's number two. Let me say this in a nutshell. Dennis, 75% of all the challenges we are discussing today here in this country can be sorted with one word: political goodwill. Ability to just want to do the right thing. I'm just saying that in summary because it is possible. What lacks here is there are some people in power with so many other interests. You know, state capture here, you know, looting there. So there's nothing that can be done because in every place there's a string. Number three, let me tell you, Dennis, what President William Ruto is doing in State House is called tokenism. It's not empowerment. Please just note the difference. There's a difference between tokenism, what you do in campaigns. You know, when you are campaigning, you know tokens. When you get to power, you must do real work to do the work you're doing. Now, I'll answer your question to say this. Then I think by this time, let's not discuss issue about affordable housing here because it will cause, you know, even if the temperatures to rise and all that. You cannot take public land illegally, spend money globally with violence from people that you have robbed the people literally against their wishes. Go give a private developer. Then go and buy those houses on public land. It's not possible. By the way, it's not me saying, it is the Auditor General's report. When you take power, we shall simply go back, look at the Auditor General report, and simply clear that thing completely. What is housing a good thing? Yes. Is it in the Constitution? Yes. How do we do it? The government will give it to the private sector to sort land and houses and people the way they have been doing. It's not the business of government to do. Government cannot do business. Allow private sector to thrive. So we don't want to go back there. And of course, the issue of, and he said Shah is doing very well. Let me tell you, you cannot tell me Shah is doing well when there's a man somewhere, some company, sinking 500 million per month, waiting for it because of the system, waiting for it. It's the issue I talk about state capture, private interest in public programs. Those are the things we'll clear the first day. And that's what I'm telling you, I want to tell Kenyans clearly, Dennis. 70 to 80% of all the problems we have in this country today, when people sit down and agree to do the right thing, then get professionals who are cabinet secretaries, people who understand the areas. We just agree generally as a government, these are the 5 issues you are going to do on public finance, on taxation and debt and all that. These are the 5 things you're going to do on agriculture, right? On health and all that. So it's possible. Let me give you an example. KRA, just a quick one. Today, KRA decides for every container coming from abroad, instead of 2.5 million they were paying, they want to pay 3.5. I've been asking people have been calling us from China. People have been calling us from here. Like almost 1,000 containers held at the port. Some illegal things. Because they are simply lazy. Instead of expanding the tax base, they want to finish the business people who are doing business. Pending bills right now of 800 billion. What are you doing about the economy? That money is held by some people. So what we are saying, Dennis, when I hear my brother say that he's sympathetic, he's sympathizing with Ruto because of the burden on his shoulders, he's sympathizing with him and all that. You cannot want to undo all the things that have been done since independence, do everything yourself, and mess up many, many things. And then you want us to sympathize with you. You did it simply because you may be an expert on politics, Dennis, for that 1 year, but you have never been schooled in the school of governance. That's the problem that we have. We have politicians still running government, even today. You don't allow the technical people. Let me tell you this, Dennis. Go to any ministry today. You'll find some technical people with all the solutions on earth. Right now, talking to you now, they are there because we spoke to them. But the moment you are told, just do this issue on mining, do this issue on fisheries and all that. Then you discover there are people who want to get everywhere and mess up the whole thing. So me, I'll go back and I will say this, Dennis, we are on the fifth year now. Now the issue is not so much talk about Vision 2060, about visions, dreams. Everybody can dream their own dream. What we want, we are telling President William Ruto kindly, account for the 20 trillion. How? Every year, 4 trillion budget. On top of the 4.2 trillion budget on debt. Tell us where the 20 trillion is just do a display, do a spreadsheet. Tell us, out of all this money, 20 trillion, these are the finished projects. The Akwa Dam, Itare Dam, tell us what is complete. There's no problem with PPPs. Let me finish there, Dennis. Now, you'll ask me, for example, how do we finance development in the fact that there will be no money? One, we are going to make sure there's an increase on revenue correction. But number two, there is nothing wrong
over taxation.
No, wait. I said expanding the tax base. We are going to free the peace reef and increase it. It's possible. Let me ask you a question, Dennis. Where did Kibaki get the 600 billion? From 200 billion to 800. People are willing to pay because they trusted one is going to free primary education. They can see the superhighway. People are willing to pay. But let me finish with this. Let me finish with this. It's possible to do what's supposed to be done the right time if there is simply what I call political goodwill. That's what has been lacking all in this country.
Yep. Grace.
Well, Dennis, this is what is happening. The slogans are here, and now we are moving with the slogans. I feel sad for this government because the opposition is actually, it's more powerful than the government itself.
Why would you say that?
Just look at the recent elections that happened in Ol Kalou. They are being used as a marking scheme for the next election.
1 out of 10.
But that's what the government would argue as well. There are very many other by-elections that the government has won.
Election. And you see, the rest of the country is looking at the whole Ol Kalou thing as a marking scheme. We are waiting to be given upon the tokens, then we'll vote out the government. So what is happening is that right now, we are talking about alignments and realignments. The government and the opposition, they have to pick who are we building coalitions with, or who are we going to work together to capture power. So in reality, nobody is bothering about service delivery towards the people of Kenya. And when we look at service delivery, we are quite a pessimistic country. We never tend to look at the positives, we tend to look at the negatives. Like for example, housing is here. I myself don't even have a housing myself. Most Kenyans don't even know how to process boma yangu. So the rest Kenyans will be like, no, we don't want these houses. It's because they don't even know how to process them. Two, they are quite expensive. They also have a lot of irregularities on how they were being acquired. So there's a lot of pessimism in terms of governance, and there's a lot of optimism, which is looking on the negative side in terms of politics. So we are not looking at where is the country heading towards 2060. We are looking at who will win the next election come August. It will be like a day like this. It will be like 2 days is election next year. That is what we are looking up to, Dennis. Yeah. Whatever was promised and whatever is being done are parallel things. We are not talking about conjoined projects. We are talking about this is what the president promised during campaign, but this is what we are seeing. And we are not willing to appreciate what we are seeing right now. We are looking into why are we not given what we were promised earlier. So I am also looking forward to whichever formation that will form the government, for the next government, how will they like put these tempers, the tensions down, and how will they be able to deliver to what they promised to the people?
Yeah. Daktari, when he says that he wanted the government to explain where the 20 trillion has gone to, because Daktari is undoubtedly a knowledgeable man, and I would never doubt his credentials. And therefore, what I doubt is his honesty, and this is why. Daktari knows that this year alone, our current expenditure is 3.6 trillion, right? So he already knows where the money is going. Yeah? And Daktari also knows that we are barely surviving as a nation. He knows it because he's a knowledgeable man. You know what I want us to be is to be honest people, even in our arguments. When he says SHA does not work, he is a man of numbers, he knows. In the last 2 years, the reimbursements to hospitals in terms of bills that SHA has incurred is 180 billion. SHA is 1 year, 10 months old.
What are the pending
In the
claims?
same period, the last years of NHIF, which was in place for 56 years, it did a reimbursement of 130. Now, between the two systems, which one is paying more bills? You know, this is not even story Hekaza Bunwasi. It is numbers. In 1 year, 10 months, SHA has paid hospital bills of 180 billion. The NHIF that they keep singing that they are going to bring back, in its 2 years, not even 1 year, 10 months, it had paid 130. SHA has already overtaken it by around 60 billion, and SHA is 1 year, 10 months old. It has its teething problems. So let us imagine what SHA will be by the time it is 10 years. Let us not even talk of 56 years, 10 years old. Now, talk of even education sector, because according to Bayer, Daktari has, the government has done nothing. We all know that all public universities were collapsing. All of them. Name one public university that was not collapsing. True or false? Because you have been with these numbers. Who has stabilized them?
Are they stable?
They are not yet out of the woods, but since they were declared insolvent, they are still surviving. Students are going to those schools.
Like they did before.
Like more university.
Ndugu, do you want us to talk about it?
Continue.
When did these universities declared almost insolvent? But then you know what happened, and Mbaye knows very well. Uhuru just walked out of a bomb that was in its last ticket.
Again, Uhuru again.
It is something that Daktari doesn't want us to talk about the past, but we must ask ourselves, where did we find ourselves? Because it is one thing we can never run away from.
But if
when you become a president who takes over from a man, who's left behind?
Dennis, I'm sorry, but
Hold on. Let him just finish.
You know, Daktari wants us to assume that because he's not, and by the way, Daktari was working for President Ruto for 2 years. And in those 2 years, President Ruto was the best thing ever that happened in this country. But since he lost his salary, he has never seen a worse person.
Kivani,
No, the fact remains.
On higher education,
Yes.
higher education, if you're going to look at the past, I want to look at the past wholesomely, right? Where we look at the past during the administration 2013 to 2022, where
the universities
where
yes.
current President William
Yes.
Ruto was deputy president of that government,
And
every
deputy president.
decision that was made during
Now,
that time,
let's
he
face
squarely took responsibility. We will not run away from that. But then again, even in the previous administration, President William Ruto was the minister in charge of higher education.
That was in
Right.
Kibaki's.
During Kibaki's
Yes.
time, we look at history, because then one would ask the question as cabinet secretary, then as minister, then what are some of the policies they did? Because immediately when the new government came into place, there were difficulties. So he has to answer to that.
Can we
So that
discuss?
one
Can
asks-
you give me
one
time to
asks-
discuss education?
One asks the question then, even in education that we talk about today, there is funding model that the president said, yes, this is new. It will sort out the issues.
Which it has
It
done.
came back recently.
Do we
and
have
said,
university students at home who are not in
It is
school?
not working. It is the president who
It
said.
was improved,
It
was
is the
it
president
not?
who said,
By the
it
way,
is not working.
Daktari
We
is
have
an
to
expert.
go back
Daktari
to
is-
a different
Can
model.
I speak now?
Yes.
All right.
Respond to those
Now,
issues that
let
are
me
raised.
explain. Part of policy development is implementation. If you realize a policy is not working, then you take the policy back to the kitchen for recooking. So what is wrong in coming up with a funding model that you felt would solve a problem, then it becomes part of the problem and you improve on it.
So we say it failed.
It didn't fail. It just couldn't solve the problem as it was expected.
So did it fail?
Failure is if it was collapsed and neglected in entirety. It was not. It was improved. Let me ask you, and let's be honest here. Do we have university students attending universities?
Yes.
Do we have them?
Yes.
Are they continuing with their studies?
There.
So where is the failure?
So
The problem's notwithstanding, because there is no perfect economy. We still have problems with public institutions, which if only we had time, we could dissect and understand where they came from and why we found ourselves here. Because remember, we had what we used to call a parallel program. You remember that program?
Yes.
That Matiang'i, in his impetuosity, killed. And with it, billions that used to come to university through privately sponsored students disappeared. When we said that we are creating university in every village and we'll be taking everybody who gets a C+. Remember, in our times, we used to go to university only at B level, 64 points and above.
What does the
Everybody
law say?
else.
What does the law say, though?
Wait a minute, I'm explaining where the problem comes. Wait a minute. Now, when we had so many universities to take students to, and we have to take up to C+, then it is only the government that can fund, because everybody who gets a C+ goes to university. Kitambo, it was a bunch. Then parents would have to foot the bill for everybody else who got below B and a C+. That gap, anybody who went paid for themselves. That's how universities got money. With that program done, they were on their knees.
All right.
So a new funding model had to be implemented that would fund like entire funding to the university. But again, in an economy as hard as it is, we had to have the problems. But it is stabilizing our problems, notwithstanding.
All right. Let me go
but
to
again,
that.
just a moment, before I give it to him, less than a minute. Look at the number of teachers the government has employed. Look at our ratio, teachers to student ratios, and how it has grown. Do you know that we are 1% short of the recommended ratios of teachers and students? Because this government alone has employed close to 200,000 students. So our hard situations notwithstanding, the government is really trying in every sector.
Yeah.
And those who have eyes and who want to see can tell you it is trying.
Terry, one asked the question, when promises are made and there is a problem with delivery on the same, where do wananchi go, especially when you look at the systems and their voice are not being heard?
It's very simple. If you promise people you're going to deliver services and you don't deliver, so the wananchi have nowhere to go. They just watch and they mark and they wait for you at the ballot. It's as simple as that, because there's nothing else they can do. They have already given their power. You know, it's a social contract. Yep. They already gave out your power to you. They already said you are the one, and that's why today you have to you are pushed out of the road for that 10 minutes for the president to pass, because it is you who gave out your power to him. So whatever he does up there, and that is why I said it's very important then it's going forward to check the personality of persons before we give them power, because this thing can continue, and all the way from MCA, MP, Governor, Center, Women, we must know who is that person. What does he do at night? Does he have other dreams and then he transforms to be something else at night? Then he becomes to be a human being during the day. We need to be very careful about the personality. Let me tell you. So when my brother says that we are barely surviving, so you know we have tried, you cannot say, Dennis, we are barely surviving. Yeah. When you are going to a whole parliament, get 6.5 billion as for a confidential vote, you remove it from the royal money, stash it in boxes so that everybody can come and give them cash in State House. You cannot tell us we are barely surviving. I don't know what the story is that. I can tell you.
Let him finish.
I can tell you the reason why I'm on this side, Kimani, is because my conscience cannot allow me to lie forever.
All right.
My conscience cannot allow me.
Time unfortunately is not on our side.
Cannot allow me to lie.
All right.
But I can tell you this, Dennis, we don't want stories next week.
All right.
This dialogue thing is dead on arrival. We are not going to ascribe to it. And if they are going to spend government money, we are going to go to court to stop it.
All right. Grace.
Kenyans are just on the hanging thread. They're just, of course, you can tell this is a construction. The country is a construction site itself, but there's we don't have occupants on those construction sites. So Kenyans are on the hanging line. They're just waiting for next year to make their decision. So whoever is forming government, they better build coalitions as early as now.
And the man knows.
Yeah.
My closing remarks.
But Kimani is actually a philosopher.
No.
Hold up, Mr. Kimani. What I'm trying to say is Kenyans already have a scorecard of not just members of parliament, but even the president. Right. Once they go to the ballot, they'll decide either they'll tick or they'll X.
Kimani, in a minute.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
It is true Kenya has its challenges, like any other nation in the world. But then, and 2027 will prove President Ruto right. Kenyans can tell how much he's trying.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't want to see, they don't have to. And for those who think that Ol Karau is the marking score, and we are telling them
yardstick, yeah.
we have had 10 by-elections. President Ruto and broad-based government has won in 9. They just won in 1, and now they think that now they are the best thing after sliced bread.
Yeah.
The thing is, we have challenges as a nation, we do. But then, thank to God, she has said that Kenya has become a construction site.
All right.
That tells you that we are busy on the road working for Kenya.